Hi and welcome to Painting Still Waiting, an 11 by 14 oil on canvas. In this first part, we'll go through some of the first pass of the painting, which is basically the first layer of mixed paint. At the moment, there is a lot of underpainting showing, and it's a really vibrant underpainting too. So it's bright orange really, and super high chroma. We get a sense of lights and darks, but it really doesn't look very fleshy at all. So the colors that I'm putting on this underpainting are kind of, hard to imagine really. They don't look very realistic necessarily. They can look quite gray, but only because they're being compared to this really vibrant underpainting. So this is a temporary state. It doesn't mean that the colors I'm putting down are wrong. It doesn't mean they were mixed incorrectly. Right now, it just means that it's a wrong relationship. The colors that I am adding right now are not correct compared to the vibrant underpainting. This can be a bit challenging to work through though, because you spend all this time mixing color and then apply it to the painting, and it looks, completely unbelievable. You think, how could I have gone this far wrong? I have to start all over again. I have to scrape this off. I have to mix new colors. But I really encourage you, if you're going to follow a process similar to this, I really encourage you to just keep going. It's too early right now to be able to say with confidence that the colors are incorrect. And this is the first pass, and it'll be kind of the last pass for most of the painting. I'll come back and do a couple small details here and there, but mostly I finished this painting with one pass. By one pass, I mean one layer of paint. So I didn't really go back over top of these layers once the paint was dry, except maybe in a few select areas. So I'm taking a little bit more time here, just because there are these really nice creases in the hand and I want to get a sense of that. And I'm also, as I approach the back of the hand, again thinking about stacking the paint. So if I think of the roundness of the back of the hand, this area, which I've already painted, and this area are further away from the viewer than the back of the hand here. So I want to paint these areas first. So my brush strokes show the viewer that this is the most voluminous part of the hand in that area. And that's the part that's closest to us as the viewer as well. And so now I can start kind of working into the larger part of the back of the hand. I'm checking the value of this part of the finger that I just painted, and I noticed that it's a bit darker than the skin behind it, but not by much. So I probably made that a little bit too dark. So make it a bit lighter. As much as possible, I try to apply the paint and mostly leave it alone, like not to fuss with it too much. That helps to reduce muddy color. So muddy color being when the colors get all mixed together because of too much blending. And then helps keep this really nice kind of energy and vibrancy to the work. I do mostly use flat brushes.
Flat, sometimes bright, and sometimes filbert. And the size really varies depending on the area. I try to use the biggest brush possible for the area. And that's sometimes a small brush. But so for this painting, the biggest brush I used was this one. I think, yes. And that is an 8. I mean, I know the sizes sort of vary depending on the brand, but just to give you a sense of the size, that's how big it is. The biggest brush that I use is a 12, but that wouldn't be for something of this size. I would use that for a larger painting. And that's a flat. I don't use fan brushes or round brushes. Sometimes I'll use this brush too, and that is also a 12. Beyond 12, I find them just kind of unwieldy to work with, and they hold so much paint and so much mineral spirits that I just find them kind of impractical.
So you can see I'm starting to work on some smaller details around the fingers, mostly because those are the last areas to paint. Now they're the last areas because they are on top of everything else. So by painting the fingers last, I'm able to layer the paint over top of the areas underneath and really stack the paint, put it in the same order as the figure itself. But if it's just reminding the viewer that this is indeed a painting that has texture to it, that's tactile, that was painted by hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's actually a really beautiful reminder to make. Painting is not a very efficient way of communicating an image, especially, of course, these days when we have, photos all the time. So the only reason to paint, I think, is because it has to be better than a photo in these cases and more interesting. And it also is more human as well. So part of that is reminding people that this was made by hand. This wasn't printed out. It wasn't captured by a machine. This is actually just oil and pigment mixed together and pushed around on a piece of fabric by somebody's hand. And I think that's part of the magic of painting too. So, if we're reminded of that because of some texture, then I think the artist has probably done a good job. Thanks so much for watching, and happy painting. Visit NicoleSleethAtelier.com to sign up for the full course or become a member to access all content.